There's a quiet battle happening inside every one of us. It doesn't show on your face, it doesn't post selfies, but it shapes your future more than anything else. It's the fight to control four things: your mouth, your mind, your mood, and your money. Those who win this internal fight don't just survive, they thrive. Those who lose live in cycles of regret. So today, let's break this down. Let's talk about how to take back control, one key at a time. Control your mouth. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Yet, it's one of the hardest things to master, especially when emotions are high, when you feel disrespected, or when the urge to win an argument outweighs the desire to understand. Your mouth, your words, can be your greatest tool or your most dangerous weapon. Every conversation is a choice, connection, or collision. The surprising part: most people don't realize the power they carry with every single word. Think about the last time someone said something that hurt you, not because it was loud or filled with profanity, but because it was sharp, dismissive, or cold. Maybe it was a joke at your expense that made everyone laugh except you. Maybe it was a backhanded compliment that left you questioning your worth. Or maybe it was silence when you needed affirmation the most. Words don't need to be shouted to cut deep. They only need to be thoughtless. Research from Harvard Business Review confirms what we already feel deep down. Negative interactions carry 5 times the weight of positive ones. That means for every careless or hurtful word, it takes 5 acts of kindness to balance the emotional scale. So, what happens in our homes, workplaces, and friendships when we're quick with criticism but stingy with affirmation? We erode trust, we chip away at safety, we replace peace with tension. In those moments when we don't filter our words, when we react instead of respond, we often justify it by saying, "I'm just being honest." But honesty without empathy is cruelty in disguise. Being honest doesn't give us permission to be reckless. We forget that people aren't just hearing what we say, they're absorbing it. Words don't bounce off, they sink in, they become beliefs, they become memories, they become fears. Now, think about a time when someone spoke life into you. It could have been just one sentence, maybe even a single word, but it changed how you walked into your day. Maybe someone said they believed in you before a big presentation. Maybe a teacher told you you've got potential. Maybe a friend said, "I see you, I'm proud of you." Those moments matter. And they don't happen by chance. They happen when someone chooses to use their words as a bridge, not a weapon. If you want to lead, truly lead, don't start by talking louder. Start by listening better. There is deep strength in restraint. Leaders who control their mouths understand that power doesn't come from domination. It comes from understanding. People follow those who make them feel heard, valued, and safe, not those who bark orders, interrupt, or speak just to fill silence. A wise leader learns to pause before responding, to ask before assuming, and to build before criticizing. And in our homes, where love should be the loudest voice, the tone we use sets the emotional climate. You want peace in your family? Start with softness in your words, not weakness, softness. There's nothing weak about speaking with care. In fact, it takes more strength to be gentle when you're frustrated than it does to lash out. Raising your voice doesn't raise your authority, it just raises walls people build to protect themselves. What's tragic is how often we hurt the people we care about most simply because we're comfortable. We say things to our partners, kids, and siblings that we'd never say to a stranger. We excuse our sharpness by saying, "They know I love them." But love isn't just what you feel, it's what you show. And your mouth is where that love is tested most. When someone walks away after talking to you, how do they feel? Empowered or diminished, encouraged or deflated, safe or walking on eggshells? At the end of the day, people rarely remember the exact words we said, but they remember how we made them feel. And the way we speak sends ripples far beyond that moment. One sarcastic remark can echo in someone's mind for years. One word of belief can change their entire life. Imagine a world where people spoke not just to express, but to uplift. Where every interaction became an opportunity to build instead of break. Where conflict wasn't fueled by ego, but diffused by compassion. That world begins with us. It begins every time we choose to pause, to breathe, and to speak with intention. The truth is, you never know what someone is carrying. Your words might be the only kindness they hear all day, or the final blow after 100 wounds. Choose wisely because careless speech costs too much, and the return on thoughtful communication is priceless. There's an old story about a man who spread rumors about his neighbor. Later, realizing the harm, he tried to take them back. A wise man told him to gather every feather from a torn pillow scattered in the wind. Impossible. That's the nature of words. Once spoken, they can't be undone. Apologies help, but the impact lingers. So before you speak, ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? These aren't limits, they're filters. They ensure that what we say creates value, not harm. They remind us that words aren't just sounds, they're seeds. Whatever we plant will grow, for better or worse. Speak in a way that draws people closer, not pushes them away. Let your words be warmth in a cold world, light in someone's darkness, a bridge over troubled waters. Because in the end, controlling your mouth isn't about censorship, it's about awareness. It's not about silence, it's about strategy. It's not about fear. It's about love, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll feel the difference between speaking to be heard and speaking to heal. You'll find the courage to hold your tongue when anger rises, and the humility to lift others when pride tempts you to tear them down. You'll discover that controlling your mouth isn't a loss of freedom. It's the path to respect, stronger relationships, and lasting influence. Words can build or burn, and every time you speak, you choose which one you'll do. A short temper can hide the fear of feeling unappreciated. Pulling away may conceal the fear of rejection. Irritation can mask exhaustion. But when we treat the mood as the final answer instead of the starting point, we lose the chance to grow. There's a reason the best decision makers in high stakes situations are trained to regulate their breathing. Navy SEALs, fighter pilots, trauma surgeons, they all know this. When your body is calm, your mind becomes clear. When your physiology is in control, your brain catches up. That pause, the breath, the stillness isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's what helps you respond with precision instead of reacting in panic. Let's be real, emotional discipline isn't glamorous. It's not a fiery speech or a bold gesture. Sometimes it's walking away from an argument you know you could win, but don't need to fight. Sometimes it's holding back a sarcastic comment. Sometimes it's saying, I need a moment, instead of pretending everything's fine. These small acts strengthen emotional fluency. Today, mood is often mistaken for identity. I'm just an angry person. I'm always anxious. I'm too sensitive. These labels become cages we build for ourselves, but your mood is not who you are. It's what you feel. And feelings change. When identity is rooted in reaction, it becomes fragile, but rooted in awareness, it becomes strong. There's power in recognizing emotional patterns. What sparks your anger? What softens your fear? What brings back your calm? These aren't just psychological questions, they're practical. When you understand your emotional landscape, you stop being blindsided. You start preparing. You can't predict every storm, but you can build a lighthouse strong enough to withstand it. That lighthouse is built through practice, pausing before speaking, journaling after a hard day, surrounding yourself with people who model emotional strength, not just intensity, and asking for help. When your mind feels like a maze, emotional strength isn't loud or flashy. It's not about having a stone, cold face or a hardened heart. It's about grace for yourself, for others, and in the midst of chaos. Grace that says, I won't let this feeling decide my future. When you master your mood, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You become a steward of your energy. You walk into meetings with calm, not chaos. You respond to conflict with curiosity, not combustion. You build relationships that feel safe, not sharp. You start noticing when someone else is off, not to criticize, but to care. And that makes you the person people trust, not because you're always happy, but because you're grounded. The leader who stays calm in the storm, the friend who listens before fixing, the human who leads not just with intellect, but with emotional wisdom. That's what mastering your mood gives you, not just peace of mind, but peace of presence. And when your presence brings calm to others, that's not just emotional control. That's emotional leadership, and the world needs more of that now than ever. Control your money, or your money will control you. This isn't about greed or gain. It's about freedom, the freedom to wake up and choose, to walk away from what doesn't serve you. To say yes, not out of desperation, but because you're prepared. Most people think of money as math, what you earn, what you spend, what you owe. But money isn't just numbers, it's meaning, it's choices. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the life you want. Every dollar you save is a step toward your future, and every dollar wasted is a delay, a detour from the life you claim you want. Your bank account isn't just transactions, it's priorities, patterns, a story. What matters, what's ignored, what's urgent. That's why controlling your money begins with awareness, not fear, not obsession, awareness. Every journey starts with a map. If you don't know where your money's going, how can you expect it to take you where you want to be? Too many believe wealth is for the lucky or the high earners, but true wealth isn't about what you make. It's how you manage what you make. I once met a man who worked as a janitor for over 40 years. Humble job, modest pay, never more than $40,000 a year. No new car, no debt, but when he died, his estate revealed over $8 million in savings and investments. He didn't play the lottery, he played the long game, he invested consistently, he lived simply, most importantly, he thought long term. He didn't just plan for retirement, he planned for possibility. We're bombarded with messages designed to separate us from our money. Buy now, pay later, treat yourself, you deserve it. But what do you really deserve? Momentary pleasure at the cost of lasting peace, the high of consumption followed by regret, or the freedom to breathe, to choose, to invest in your future instead of paying for your past. Controlling your money doesn't mean being cheap. It means being intentional, telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It's the difference between stress and strategy, chaos and control, surviving and thriving. And it starts small with the decision to look, not avoid, not flinch. Look, open your statements, track your spending. Not to judge yourself, but to learn, to wake up. From there, build habits, set a budget not as a cage, but as a compass. Automate your savings, invest in growth, not what depreciates. Create an emergency fund, not from paranoia, but from wisdom. Life is unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. We don't rise to our dreams, we fall to our systems. Your financial system is either working for you or against you. The difference isn't income, it's discipline. It's in the daily choices you make when no one's watching. The quiet, consistent work of being responsible, even when it's not exciting. Here's the truth: freedom isn't in impulse, it's in restraint, in saying, not now, so one day you can say, now I can. It's in walking into opportunity without hesitation. Imagine being able to say yes to the trip, the business idea, walking away from a toxic job. Not because timing was perfect, but because your finances were. That's real power. That's what financial control gives you: space, peace, options. When money stress disappears, you show up differently. More generous, focused, present, free from the weight of debt or paycheck living, free to dream bigger, give more. If you feel overwhelmed, start simple. Start with $1, track it, see if it aligns with who you want to be. Then repeat, again and again, until clarity replaces confusion and control replaces chaos. Money isn't the goal, freedom is. Peace is, control is, money is the tool, and it responds to intention, not income. The world will always try to take your money. You decide who wins. You choose if money becomes stress or strength. You don't need a million to make that choice. You need a mindset, a mission, the belief that you can master your finances even if no one taught you how. Because when you control your money, you control your life. You walk taller, breathe deeper, stop living in fear and start living in freedom. Not because life is easy, but because you're equipped. That's a wealth no paycheck can buy. Control is often portrayed as solitary, as if willpower alone carries us through every challenge. But real control isn't isolated, it lives in the air around us, in the people we spend time with. Want to know what's shaping your life? Look at your circle. We like to think we're immune to influence, that we rise above, think independently. But human nature resists isolation. We're wired for connection. And with connection comes exposure to attitudes, thoughts, behaviors. Over time, those exposures compound. You don't become a pessimist overnight. You don't suddenly slip into mediocrity. It happens gradually, conversation by conversation, until one day you realize you've become like those around you. Your words sound like theirs, your thoughts echo their doubts, your ambition, discipline, and joy multiplied or dissolved by your circle. We've all felt it. Gossip pulling you in, the urge to belong, or being around people who mock hard work, making your efforts feel foolish. But place yourself in a circle where people talk ideas, not people where growth is standard, not rare, and everything shifts. Your vision sharpens, your energy feels lighter, you move with purpose. We think habits are private choices. Most aren't. They're social. You eat like your friends, spend like your peers, prioritize what your environment celebrates. That's not weakness, it's psychology, biology, which is why you must be deliberate, ruthlessly deliberate about who's in your life. This isn't about cutting everyone struggling, it's not ego, it's elevation, stewardship of your potential. Your environment is soil. You can be the best seed, but if you're in toxic soil, you won't grow. You'll survive, maybe, but not thrive. Good soil doesn't just help you grow, it pushes you to grow faster. Surround yourself with people who talk goals, not gossip, who remind you of your power, not your problems, who clap when you win and call you out when you drift. That's love, that's leadership, that's a circle worth building. People resist this, but I've known them for years. They're family. Longevity isn't alignment. Just because someone's been in your life a long time doesn't mean they belong at the center of it. Love people, yes. Be kind, always, but be selective about access. Your peace, your purpose, your power. They are too valuable for careless hands. Ask yourself who makes you feel small, who drains you, who dismisses your dreams, and then who challenges you. Who stretches your thinking, who raises your standards just by living. These aren't abstract questions, they shape your future. Some make you feel like you're too much, when really, they're not enough, and some make you realize you've barely scratched your potential. Seek them, learn from them, build with them. We don't control the world, the economy, or the weather. But we control proximity. We choose who enters our inner world. That choice isn't passive, it's powerful. Who gets your time, your energy, your ears? The biggest transformation sometimes comes not from trying harder, but from changing your environment. A smoker doesn't quit by living in smoking lounges. An entrepreneur doesn't grow by surrounding themselves with people who mock ambition. We mirror what we're near, science proves it. Our habits, health, finances, even relationships are shaped by our social circle. If your closest friends gain weight, your chances rise. If they divorce, your marriage risk increases. But the reverse is true. Want discipline, be around disciplined people. Want integrity, surround yourself with truth, tellers. The right circle doesn't just hold you accountable, they hold up a mirror to your potential. They remind you who you are when you forget. They speak life when you're silent. They expect your success not from pressure, but belief. You'll know you're in the right circle when you leave conversations more focused, not scattered. Energized, not drained, confident, not insecure. Sometimes that circle isn't loud or big. It might be 2 or 3 people, but they're aligned, authentic, and all in on growth. So odd, it's your circle not with judgment, but clarity, because your circle isn't just who you are, it's who you're becoming. Want to rise, tighten your circle. Want to evolve, elevate your environment, because the life you build will echo the voices you keep close. Make them count, make them reflect your future, not your fears. When your circle aligns with your purpose, you don't just control your environment, you ignite it. Life catches us off guard. It doesn't check calendars before throwing its hardest punches. One day all feels aligned, the next. You're hit with news you didn't expect, consequences you didn't cause, chaos you can't control. The truth, we don't always choose what happens, but we choose how we respond. That response is our greatest power. We spend so much energy trying to prevent, predict, avoid adversity. We build routines for predictability, relationships for security, plans for stability. But even the best strategies fail. Even the strongest people feel undone by the unexpected. Here's the paradox: strength isn't shielding from hardship, it's how we respond when it hits. There's space between what happens and what we do next. That space is power. Most people react without thinking: anger, withdrawal, lashing out. In doing so, they give away the only thing they control: their response. The moment you let the world dictate your reaction, you surrender power. The moment you pause, breathe, choose, no matter how hard, you reclaim it. Picture driving: someone cuts you off, blood pressure spikes, fists clench, words load up. That's instinct. Automatic. But if you hit the brakes, not just on the car, but your impulse, something new becomes possible. You choose calm over chaos, grace over grudge, control over collision. It's not about being passive, it's being deliberate. The wisest people in history faced unimaginable pain, yet came out more composed, not less. Viktor Frankl, stripped of everything in the Holocaust, held on to one thing: his ability to choose his attitude. That control can't be taken by force or broken by pain. It's the control of your response, and it's more powerful than most realize. Think of betrayal by a close friend, the instinct: revenge or bitterness. But what if instead you set boundaries, grieved, moved forward with self-respect? You didn't ignore pain, you refused to let it dictate who you become. That's the difference. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Think of your last setback: lost opportunity, harsh criticism, rejection. What did you do? Let it define you, or define yourself in it. Great leaders and resilient people didn't have perfect lives. They had practiced responses. Trained to pause under pressure. That control doesn't just protect peace, it shapes character. How you respond reveals more than talent or titles ever will. Anyone looks good when life's easy, but who are you when everything falls apart? That's where character is forged or forgotten. Yes, it's hard to stay kind when others are cruel, hard to stay calm when provoked, hard to act with integrity when betrayed. That's why it matters. Every time you choose response over reaction, you grow stronger, more grounded, more reliable. Like an athlete in the final seconds, pressure high, body exhausted, the ones who win, not the panicked, the trained. Not absence of pressure, but their response to it. The same applies to you. Whether as a parent in a tough talk, an entrepreneur facing failure, or simply a person choosing kindness in an unkind world, your response is your power, and it's not a one-time decision. It's a habit, a discipline, a choice made over and over until it becomes who you are. So next time life hits, and it will, pause, step back, ask, what would the best version of me do right now? Not the tired, hurt, angry version, the wise one, the leader, the one in control. Then do that, even if it's hard, especially if it's hard, because that's where real strength lies. Not in controlling everything, but in mastering yourself. You don't need to control the world to feel powerful, just your response. And when you do, no storm can shake you, no loss can break you, no person can define you, because you've defined yourself. Control your words, they create your world. Control your mind, your thoughts shape destiny. Control your mood, emotion without discipline is chaos. Control your money, financial freedom begins with daily choices. Control your circle. Your environment builds or breaks you. Control your response, because power isn't in control, it's in character. Control isn't domination, it's discipline. Not rigidity, but rootedness. The most powerful people aren't the loudest, they're the most self-controlled. Now, it's your turn.